done here, Alex," the boards decided. Those words from Harry, our director of sales, didn't land as an insult or even a shock. They felt more like someone slamming a steel door I'd built myself. The contract with Crestrail Logistics, the largest our company had ever seen, was barely an hour old. $120 million end-to-end software and hardware to turn old freight networks into a living, breathing digital system. I had led the pitch, the prototype, and the all-nighters for almost a year. But 5 minutes after the ink dried, Harry's face turned from congratulatory to clinical. "This is restructuring, not personal. Hand in your badge to HR. We'll take it from here." I looked at him and almost laughed. "You know the contract requires me to run the launch. My name's on every page. Crestrail won't move without me." He shrugged, already reaching for his phone. "We'll tell them you moved on. Everyone's replaceable, Alex. It's a team sport." That's how I lost my job, because the 1% bonus I'd earned was too tempting for someone else to pocket. I left that conference room with a box, my coffee mug, and a toy train car my son gave me after our first warehouse system went live. It rattled in my hand as I stepped into the hallway. All those years of building trust, being the calm one who could explain rail telemetry to a forklift operator or a boardroom, now meant nothing. I'm Alex, 41. For 10 years, I was the person Redline Integration called when sales wrote checks that engineering had to cash. I turned barely written specs into working, profitable platforms. I'd learned every shortcut in the industry, how to turn midnight emergencies into early morning launches, how to read people as well as code. My job was to make the impossible routine. That routine died on a Tuesday afternoon when a sales director decided his bonus was more important than his company's future. I went home that night feeling more tired than angry. My wife saw it on my face. "So, they finally did it?" she asked. I nodded. "Harry pulled the trigger. After all these years." She gave a sad smile. "He doesn't know who he's messing with." As she put dinner on the table, I booted up my laptop and started pulling documents. The contract, the real one, with my name and Crestrail's signature, was clear. The project only stood if I led the technical launch. There were emails, signed statements from engineers, and a saved voicemail from Crestrail's VP. No Alex, no go. I spent hours building my case. Not for a lawsuit, at least not yet. For my own defense, my dignity, and the truth. I copied everything, design files, emails, technical diagrams, onto a drive and called my attorney. She listened without interrupting, then said, "Send it all. You have every right to challenge this, and so does Crestrail. They'll have your back." I didn't sleep much. The house was quiet except for the faint hum of the fridge. My son was asleep upstairs, the little train car he'd given me sitting on my desk. I remembered him saying, "You make the trains work for everyone, Dad." That's what I tried to do, make it work for everyone, even people like Harry. The next morning, the dominoes started to fall. Crestrail's project manager called, his voice tight. "Alex, what's going on? Harry says you resigned. That's not what we agreed." I told him the truth. I was fired the moment after we signed. They want to replace me with someone cheaper. I can't even access my own work email. His reply was instant. "We're halting payment until this is fixed. We want you on this, or there's no project. Let us know how you want to handle it." I told my attorney, and she drafted a letter to both companies. Removing Alex Carter is a breach of contract and exposes Redline to penalty and investigation. Crestrail may withdraw without penalty, documentation attached. Inside Redline, panic took over. The CFO's email went to the whole board. Crestrail's frozen payments. We're at risk of missing payroll if this isn't resolved. Investor call at 10 a.m. Meanwhile, my old team started reaching out. "Alex, they want me to sign off on the integration plan," Priya texted. I said no. I told them it's not safe. Sam wrote, "They're offering me a promotion if I take your place." I turned them down. Mark's message was blunt. No one's buying Harry's story. The client called me and asked if you were coming back. The board pushed Harry for answers. He doubled down, sending Crestrail a fake org chart that swapped my name for a junior analyst. The client's lawyers shot back, "Put Alex back in, or the contract's void." By late afternoon, my LinkedIn was full of recruiters and journalists. Redline's shares started to drop. Someone leaked the story to a logistics news site. Redline wins record deal, fires architect, faces collapse. That night, Harry left his first voicemail. "Let's not make this ugly, Alex. Come in, sign a release, take a severance. I'll call Crestrail myself. We can make it right." I let the message play out, then deleted it. There's no making right what you tried to steal. My wife joined me in the kitchen as I sat with my coffee. She put her hand on mine. "Do you want to fight this?" I looked at her, then at the little train on my desk. I have to. Not just for me. For everyone who believes their work should matter. That night, I started planning not just how to win my bonus back, but how to build something no one could take away. The next day, Redline's internal chat felt like a sinking ship. I watched from the outside as rumors flew. My team texted me in private. Priya said HR called her in and handed her a new NDA for company security. She refused to sign it, telling them she wouldn't take responsibility for a project led by someone who didn't know the system. Sam forwarded an email from Harry to the engineering group. It read, "Redline Integration is pleased to announce new leadership on the Crestrail project. We remain committed to delivery and innovation. Please direct technical questions to your new point of contact." Beneath it, a second message from Crestrail. "We are temporarily suspending all project work and payments until our named technical lead is reinstated or replaced by mutual agreement. No exceptions." That was all it took for panic to set in. Redline's CFO sent a memo to the board. "If this project stalls, we're exposed to a loss of up to 30% of projected annual revenue and breach of loan terms. Investors are requesting an emergency update. Recommend immediate review of contract obligations." I sat in my home office, the train car from my son beside my laptop. For the first time since college, I considered what I'd do if I never set foot in Redline's office again. My attorney Janet called. "Alex, the state funding agency is asking for documentation. If Redline forged or misrepresented your role to Crestrail, this could turn into a criminal investigation." I heard a tension in her voice I hadn't heard before. "Send them everything. Keep records of all contact from Redline. I'll handle Crestrail's legal team." My phone started ringing from unfamiliar numbers. Journalists, rival companies, even industry analysts wanted my take on what was happening. I declined every call. Instead, I focused on my team. I sent a group message, just support, no strategy. "I know this is messy. Don't let anyone pressure you. I'll keep you updated." Priya responded almost instantly. "We're with you, Alex. The client's already reaching out to us directly for answers. None of us will sign off on anything without your review." Mark texted separately. "Redline just pulled me into a meeting with the new lead." He didn't know half the terms in the spec. I told him I wouldn't approve any deployment he signed off on. They didn't like it. Sam added, "They offered me a bonus to stick around. I told them I wasn't for sale. This is your project, Alex. If you start something new, let me know." The next afternoon, Crestrail's general counsel called. "We're preparing formal notification. Unless you're put back on the project, we'll terminate the contract, seek damages, and inform the state. Can we use your evidence?" I said yes, forwarding every file, every signed page, and the original project plan. Meanwhile, Redline's board held a closed-door meeting. Harry doubled down, claiming I'd abandoned the company for personal gain. The truth was in the paperwork. Crestrail's lawyers sent a short, brutal reply. "No Alex Carter, no contract, no payment, no further negotiation." Late that night, as I was putting my son to bed, he whispered, "Are you going to fix the trains again?" I smiled and tucked him in. "I think I am. Just not the way they expect. I went back to my desk and looked at the stack of job offers flooding my inbox. Rival companies promised titles, raises, signing bonuses. But what I wanted most was to build a place where the people who did the work called the shots, and where nobody could erase you for doing your job too well. The next morning, Janet called with news. Alex, the board is cracking. They're reaching out for mediation. If you want to make demands, now's the time. I poured a fresh coffee and drafted my own terms. No more being an employee. No more bonuses dangled as bait. I'd come back only as an independent technical partner, with full authority, my own team, and a share of every future service dollar. And if they refused, I'd walk, taking Crestrail with me. I sent the proposal, then closed my laptop, feeling lighter than I had in years. Redline's leadership spent the next 48 hours trying to save face. Harry sent me a long, apologetic email. He blamed board pressure, said he'd always respected my work, and asked if I would reconsider for the sake of the company. I read the whole thing twice, then archived it without replying. The CFO called my attorney, voice pinched and urgent. We're open to any arrangement. The board needs a solution, fast. Would Alex accept a consultant's contract? Would he sign an NDA and agree to keep things out of the press? Janet asked for everything in writing, every dollar accounted for, every public statement cleared with my team. She knew they were desperate. The stock had dropped, loan officers were calling, and the state's infrastructure office sent a letter threatening to suspend Redline from all public projects. While they scrambled, Crestrail's project manager, Martin, kept me updated. Our board met today. They're tired of the drama. They want you to run the technical side as a direct partner. They're willing to name your new firm on the contract, provided Redline stays out of your way. I thanked him, then dialed Preya and Mark on a group call. I want you both with me. This isn't Redline anymore. It's our own shop, our rules, our clients, and nobody can toss us out when the money gets big. Priya laughed. You know I'm in. Let's build something better this time. Mark said, I'll draft the support agreements and start talking to the rest of the old team. Even Sam, who'd always been more cautious, agreed. After all this, I want to work for people who believe in the work, not just the payout. I registered A-Rail Systems the next morning and let Crestrail's legal know. They replied with a simple statement. We are prepared to transfer our technical leadership requirements to A-Rail Systems, pending resolution with Redline. Redline's board finally called a meeting. Janet and I joined remotely, as did Crestrail and their legal counsel. For the first time, Harry looked tired, voice almost pleading. Let's all find a way forward. Alex, what do you want? I laid it out. Full recognition and payment of the bonus, as outlined in the original contract. 8% of ongoing support revenue for A-Rail Systems. My choice of technical staff. Redline issues a joint press release acknowledging my team's role and apologizes to Crestrail for the disruption. If you refuse, Crestrail walks, the state investigates, and I take my team and the client to a competitor. A long silence followed. The CEO looked at his advisors, the board at their feet. The CFO nodded. We have no choice. We accept. Janet's only question was about timing. How soon will the compensation be paid? The CFO answered, by the end of the week. The press release goes out the same day. As soon as the call ended, I felt every muscle in my back finally relax. It wasn't just about the money. It was about finally building something that couldn't be taken away by a jealous executive. That night, my wife opened a bottle of champagne. She set 2 glasses on the kitchen counter. I'm proud of you, Alex, not just for winning, but for standing up for what's right. I lifted my glass. This time, it's ours, for good. We toasted, and my son peeked around the corner, grinning. Did you fix it, Dad? I knelt down and hugged him. Yeah, buddy, we fixed it. By the end of the week, Crestrail and A-Rail Systems signed a 3-year, $40 million contract for support, upgrades, and future systems. Priya and Mark joined as partners. Sam signed on as lead integrator. Redline's name stayed on the hardware, but their role was reduced to supplier, not architect. The news broke in every trade publication. Redline's board put Harry on leave, citing loss of confidence. The company issued a joint statement with Crest Rail and Arrail Systems. We are pleased to announce the successful transition of project leadership to the team that designed, implemented, and delivered the Crest Rail platform. At my new office, just a small rented space for now, I placed the little train car from my son on the desk, right next to our first signed client agreement. Late that Friday, as I locked up, my phone vibrated. Harry had left another voicemail. His voice was shaky. If you ever want to talk, if you ever need a reference, please just let me know. I'm sorry. I never returned the call. I didn't need to. Some lessons don't require a response. The days that followed felt almost unreal. For the first time in years, I could wake up without dreading an emergency call or a boardroom ambush. I spent those early mornings with my family, eating real breakfasts, walking my son to school, learning how it felt to be present for the little things. An unexpected luxury after a decade of being the guy who can't ever unplug. Arrail Systems took shape in the span of a single month. Mark came in with budgets, checklists, and 6 job offers for engineers who'd been burned before. Priya mapped out project milestones and client handoffs with a focus I'd rarely seen inside a big company. Sam ran the first client review like she'd been waiting for this responsibility her whole career. We worked late some nights, but not out of fear, out of excitement. Crest Rail's technical leads didn't micromanage. They respected our process, trusting us to flag the risks and propose real solutions. When problems came up, there were no angry emails or threats, just honest conversations and practical fixes. The new contract wasn't just lucrative, it was a chance to prove our model. Arrail Systems would own support and upgrades for all Crest Rail's monitoring modules, not just install and run. That meant our team would see every success and every failure, and nobody could hide behind someone else's decision. If something broke at midnight, it was our problem, and our pride to fix it. During those weeks, I heard from more than just the team. Engineers I'd worked with years ago sent congratulations. A retired plant manager called to say, "We always knew who was really keeping the trains moving." Even a few clients from smaller contracts reached out, asking if we could help them too. We didn't rush to say yes. This time, we'd do things right or not at all. Meanwhile, Redline tried to spin the story, but the trade press wasn't interested. Journalists focused on the Crest Rail turnaround, how the client had forced the company to admit its mistake, how engineers had taken charge and delivered anyway. The moral wasn't lost on anyone paying attention. Value the people who do the work, not the ones who chase the biggest bonus. A few weeks in, Crest Rail hosted a project review at their headquarters. For the first time, I walked into a client meeting, not as an employee, but as a partner. Their CEO shook my hand, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "We hired you for your brain. We kept you for your backbone." It stuck with me all day. Later, I told Mark and Priya over dinner at a cheap steakhouse. "That's why this works," I said. "We finally have a seat at the table, not just a place in the back row." Priya grinned. "Here's to the back row moving up front." We laughed, raising our glasses, root beer for Priya, iced tea for Mark, something stronger for me. After dinner, I walked home, passing the old Red Line office, empty now, lights off, like a chapter finally closed. In the window, I could see a stack of old project folders with my handwriting still on them. I felt a pang, nostalgia mixed with relief. A month after the deal, Arrail Systems signed 2 more contracts, smaller than Crest Rail, but enough to keep the team busy. We kept our office small, refusing to take work we couldn't personally stand behind. Our reputation grew not from marketing, but from word of mouth. Those are the people who got Crest Rail done. They fight for you because they've fought for themselves. I started spending more time at home. My son, seeing me finish work before sunset, would drag me outside to help with his latest train layout on the porch. "Show me how to build the bridge, Dad." I'd kneel beside him, fitting the pieces together, explaining how a good foundation kept everything steady, just like in work. He listened, serious, then grinned. "Now, make it go fast." Those evenings reminded me why I fought so hard, not for the title or even the money, but for the right to build something lasting, something that mattered to the people I cared about. Every so often, I'd get another message from someone at Redline, sometimes just a quick congrats, sometimes a quiet, "You were right." Harry's name never popped up again. I heard he'd left the industry, his ambition outpaced by the reality he created. One night, sitting in my home office, I glanced at that little train car, its paint chipped from years on my desk, the wheels loose from too many miles. I realized that my career had become a lot like that model train, full of stops and starts, derailments and new tracks, but always moving forward. That's when I decided what to put on the wall above my desk. Not a diploma, not a bonus check, but a simple photo of our team at the first A-Rail systems launch. All of us smiling, tired, but proud. A year later, A-Rail Systems was thriving. We weren't the biggest name in the industry, but every project we finished was a project done right, and every client was one we could look in the eye. My son's little train still sat on my desk, a reminder that some journeys are worth fighting for, even when the track ahead isn't clear. Sometimes, late at night, I'd replay those difficult days in my mind, the panic, the anger, the injustice. But mostly, I remembered the quiet victories, the loyalty of a team that refused to sign away their values, the relief in a client's voice when they realized they weren't alone, the pride in building something that couldn't be erased by a signature or a selfish decision. People sometimes ask me if I miss my old job, or if I ever wish things had turned out differently. I always gave the same answer. I'd rather build from scratch with people I trust than spend another day making someone else rich at my own expense. In the end, I learned that the real reward isn't a bonus or a title. It's knowing you stood your ground, did your work honestly, and helped others do the same.